Exploring the way ahead appeals to Matthaios the most. He wants to make use of this last hour or two of daylight before he retires to the chamber by the northern complex. As he steps into the passage that leads ahead, he spots another Diorthocans. It clings to one of the high walls, working at removing a mass of vines that appears to be eroding the stone of the wall. When it notices the young man, the Diorthocans speaks.
Late day's greeting. It has been some time since I have seen one of your kind.
Hello up there.
Are you a neophyte taking part in the trials?
That I am. My name is Matthaios Starcrux.
I am Epsilon Dia the 400th. It is an honor to meet you. Not all reach this far. Many neophytes have perished before this point.
I know. There have already been a few moments when I feared for my life, but good fortune saw me through. Tell me then, do you have some riddle or challenge to pose me?
That is not my role. I am a boon to any neophyte who reaches this point. If you would receive it, I can provide 1 hour of my service, or I can provide you with 2 traps, one such as hunters deploy, and the other an alarm to warn you of approaching danger.
Your service? And what exactly would that be?
Say the word, and I shall accompany you for 1 hour. I have water. I have knowledge of this area. Even in battle, I would make an effort to defend you, though I am not exactly a warrior.
Matthaios weighs the 2 options. A knowledgeable companion would be most helpful. Come then, Dia.
Very well.
The bronzen crabman climbs down from the wall and approaches. Matthaios takes another deep drink from his water skin and has Epsilon Dia the 400th fill it completely. Pure water fountains from a spout between the construct's tiny foreclaws. There is another of your kind, not far from here. He's in serious trouble, trapped beneath a collapsed obelisk.
That must be Zeta Tria the 12th. I do not care for him. I told him to leave that obelisk alone. It is too heavy and too damaged for him to handle. I am not surprised by what has happened.
Well, we should at least try to help. I tried to free him, but I couldn't.
If you say so, Matthaios.
And this dead serpent guard here, do you know what happened?
Yes. He died trying to drive off a gigatha.
A what?
Gigatha, a giant flying insect. They are immense in size. He should have left it alone. It was only scrounging for food. But when it went to eat a clutch of serpent eggs, he attacked. His conviction was commendable, but his chance of defeating such a massive creature was quite low. You could say it was a hopeless cause.
And you just left him here to rot? Why didn't you bury him?
He fought a gigatha. It coated him in its musk. Others of its kind can smell that and be roused to aggression. Getting the musk on me is a risk I am not willing to take.
But I salvaged parts from his body to make some armor. Do I have the musk on me now?
It is not a scent that we can perceive, but I would assume that, yes, you have been exposed to the musk.
What should I do? Can I bathe to wash it off?
Water does not remove it. It penetrates too deeply to simply be cleaned off. You will simply have to wait for your body to naturally expel it from you. It will take days.
Matthaios looks up, as though some titanic insectile monster were to come over the high labyrinth walls at any moment and descend upon him. What are the chances of one of these gigathas will smell me and come after me?
There is enough of a chance that you are wise to be concerned. I heard the gigatha earlier today, though it was not too close. Usually, it is uncommon to see one here in the trials.
What should I do?
If you see one, run. They are very, very large, but not particularly fast. Run and try to take cover somewhere heavily fortified.
Let's get moving. Is this a pit trap here?
Indeed, it is. You did well to avoid it. There is a nest of scorpions at the bottom.
The neophyte keeps against the wall as he passes the covered pit trap. Dia climbs along the wall, spider-like. He climbs slowly, but with a sure grip of his 6 spike legs and twin foreclaws. They arrive at the obelisk chamber, where the Diorthicant's Zeta Tria the 12th is in bad condition and stuck underneath tons of stone.
Ho there, Zeta. I see you did not follow my advice. You look terrible. We're going to attempt to extract you. If this ends up killing you, remember, you did this to yourself.
Are you sure?
I am sure enough to try. Now, let me see.
Dia crouches down and inspects the situation. Matthaios explains what little he was able to figure from his own attempt. After looking things over for a few minutes, Dia says,
Neophyte, hold this leg here. This one here, yes. You are going to pull down, then I'll pull these this way. That should loosen him, and then you'll pull straight back with all of your strength.
The pair combine their efforts, attempting to free Zeta. The neophyte pulls with all the strength of his body. There is a squealing, cracking noise. Zeta's top half partially emerges from the stony heap, ripped apart from the base of his structure.
Oh no! Damn it! Goodbye, Zeta Tria, 12th plasma of your kind. In your stubbornness, you did not heed the word of an elder, and this is the consequence of your actions.
Consequence of his actions? You didn't loosen him all the way. It was the consequence of your actions.
He was trapped under thousands of pounds. It could hardly be expected that you or I perform a perfect operation.
Look, I appreciate your help, but if you're going to make things worse, I'd be better off alone.
I can go back if you wish.
Am I going to be held responsible for destroying this Diorthicant's?
Not hardly. He got himself into that situation. You merely tried to help.
Let's try something else. What are you skilled with, exactly?
I tend to the labyrinth and to artificia. My original masters are long gone, and my supplies are very few. I often have to scavenge. I also purify and bear water, as you have seen.
I'm planning to fashion armor out of these pieces I scrapped from that dead serpent guard. Could you help with this?
As I said, I am unwilling to expose myself to the Gagatha musk. Besides, fashioning this armor will take longer than the time I have pledged to you.
What about this section of floor here? I suspect that it is also a pit trap.
You are perceptive. Indeed, it is.
And the large dais in the chamber north of here. Do you know about the containers with gases in them?
I am not particularly familiar with that, but I would have a look at it.
The two make their way to the dais chamber. Dia approaches the bronzen structure and inspects it.
Each of these activators are made to release the gas from its container. These alchemical symbols here have to do with the gases held inside. Unfortunately, I have no knowledge of these symbols.
In the northern complex, there's a huge iron door. It's missing a piece from its mechanism, and it will not open. Where can I find such a spare part?
If it is necessary to complete the trials, then it will be somewhere in one of these chambers. I know of no such part in the southern complex, though it could be concealed or hidden. I am not privy to all the workings of this rite.
And what of this southern complex? What is there?
It is a small maze unto itself. Some hostile beasts lair there. Others move through or hunt there. As well, there is a large stone block that serves as a kind of puzzle box. I can provide a clue or two to help you open it, though I know not what is inside. Oh, and I saw the serpent guard Bastus moving through the southern complex just earlier today. I suspect he knows of a secret passageway.
Hostile beasts. Bastus. I will need to move with great caution. And what about to the east? The area that's overgrown with vegetation?
That way is another maze of its own, a larger one, and beyond that is the sanctum of the Scaled Oracle.
Then why should I be wasting time with these northern and southern complexes? East is the way that I need to go.
If you believe that you are ready, then that is your decision to make.
What do you reckon? Am I ready?
If you do not know if you are ready, then likely you are not.
The young warrior thinks over the various paths and options before him. He wants to make use of this ally, limited as the Diorthicans is. He has no time to waste. I'm curious about that puzzle box. I suspect it holds something important. Lead the way. The two head back the way they came. An undeniable guilt weighs upon Matthaios' heart as he passes by the destroyed Diorthicans, Zeta. He tries to put it out of his mind, as he needs to remain sharp. They enter the arched passageway and onto the maze-like zone. Dia clearly tends to the upkeep of the area on a regular basis, as its condition is notably better than some of the other locations Matthaios has seen in the trials. While it does have an old and slightly decrepit appearance, there is no major damage to the structure, and very little in terms of weeds, mosses, creepers, and the like. Dia leads on through the area. There is a variety of different tiers and terraces, many of which have stairways connecting upper and lower portions. They arrive at a 30-foot escarpment.
The stone block is up there. You will have to climb.
The rising ledge does seem climbable, though it would be a risk. I have this rope. Can you take it up there and secure it for me?
I can take this end.
The crab construct makes its way up the rock wall with the rope in hand. Once at the top, it secures the rope and braces into the structure using its spike legs. Matthaios makes his way up the rope, an easy climb. The upper landing is a room with a round shape on its far side. There is a big stone block, roughly cube-shaped. On its one side, it has a multitude of sliding parts, like a puzzle box. Dia shows Matthaios a few correct moves that he knows, which gives the Neophyte an advantage in solving the puzzle. He correctly solves the puzzle, which allows him to access an internal compartment. Within the stony block is a glass phial containing a translucent liquid with a soft blue hue. Before he can speculate as to its properties, there is a rustling sound nearby. From a concealed den in a tangle of roots emerges a snake that is over 10 feet in length. Flitting about the larger serpent is a much smaller one, a snake with wings. The constrictor snake strikes at the closest of the true intruders, the Diorthicans. It is unable to latch onto the construct. Matthaios' eyes bulge wide at the sight of the great serpent. Terror and bravery struggle against one another within his heart. He takes the alchemist's fire in hand, repositions himself, and flings it at the snake. The flask shatters upon the ground, missing. A flare of fire crackles up from the sticky substance upon the floor stones. The winged viper flies through the air, agile and quick. Its fangs bare at Matthaios. Blazing pain shoots through Matthaios' leg. His vision blurs, and his head swims. The venom nearly brings him to the ground. Dia, with retracted fingers, swings a club hand at the constrictor. The Diorthicans batters the reptile. It responds by lashing out to wrap the construct in its scaly embrace. Dia keeps the thing at bay, pushing back with his pointed legs. Matthaios takes a deep breath and steadies himself. He calls upon his deepest reserves of willpower and fortitude. His adrenaline forces him through the searing pain. He screams and swings the glaive at the airborne viper.
The tiny thing is too quick. It evades the swipe of the polearm and strikes again with its needle fangs. This time, it is the young man who avoids the attack. Dia, in silent focus on his survival, shoves against the constrictor. He pushes the hefty reptile back into the burning glob of alchemical fire. It hisses as the flaming sap burns it. The constrictor writhes and whips about, desperate to rid itself of the burning substance. Its efforts are in vain. Also in desperation is Matthaios. The flying snake is highly venomous, and it moves with deadly swiftness. "Seventh star, guide my blade!" He slashes with the glaive and splits the winged viper in half. It falls to the ground, coiling, flapping, bleeding. Dia falls upon the great serpent, bearing down with his fists. He bludgeons it, and the alchemist's fire continues to burn. The snake is clearly in a miserable state. It whips about, but it is unable to get the flaming tar off. Matthaios draws his javelin, squares up, and throws. The javelin hits the target, but not at a good enough angle to penetrate its scaly hide. Dia follows this up with another swing, but he does not land the blow. With a rasping hiss, the constrictor snake succumbs to the fire. Matthaios throws a glance at the root tangle that covers the serpent's den. Are there more in there? Dia, I'm leaving this place, at least for now. Come with me.
As you say, Matthaios, and a glorious victory against these beasts, I must add.
We can speak of victory once we are free of this viper's nest. The adventurer picks up his javelin, then grabs the file from the open stone block and stows it away. The Diorthicans again secures the rope and aids the Neophyte down the 30-foot drop-off. They exit the southern complex with haste. With the bronzen companion accompanying him, Matthaios returns to the corridor just east of the northern complex. Epsilon Nycta, the 241st, greets them when they approach.
Ho there! You have returned, Matthaios, and with a companion. Epsilon Dia the 400th. It has been some time. A late day's greeting to you, Nycta. I will soon return to my station, as I have fulfilled my duty in aiding the Neophyte. Tell me, Neophyte, has he done well in fulfilling his duty?
More than well. If it weren't for him, I would be dead.
I would have preferred to fight the winged viper, as its venom would have had no effect upon me. But we prevailed. That is all that matters.
The poison almost felled me. My leg still hurts, something fierce. My head is faint. Nycta, I seek to utilize this chamber for resting, as you offered.
It is open to you until tomorrow morning, Neophyte. Rest well.
One last thing. Dia, do you know what this is? Matthaios shows him the phial with the translucent light blue liquid.
It is familiar to me, yes. If you drink this potion, for a time you will be resistant against caustic substances.
Caustic substances?
Indeed. Harmful acids and the like.
Not against poisons or snake venoms?
No, only acidic substances.
I hope it was worth all the trouble of nearly dying to retrieve this.
I hope so as well. My duty has now been fulfilled. Be brave, Neophyte. Perhaps we shall see each other again.
At that, Epsilon Dia the 400th turns and heads back southward. Matthaios enters the small chamber with the 3 flame sconces and lies down. He breathes out a long sigh. This has been the worst and the best day of his life, filled with terror and deadly danger, intertwined with a thrilling sense of battle and heroic accomplishment. Never before has he felt so alive. There is still much ahead, and he can only imagine what terrible and terrific challenges he will come across. But he is quickly learning from his missteps and will apply those lessons going forward. There is more than venom in his veins. There is strength, a deep strength that calls from the depths of some ancestral cave, all the way up into the starry heights. Destiny calls, and he responds. After sleeping for a time, he awakens. It is dark in the chamber. His leg aches, but the pain has grown dull. He opens the door and asks Epsilon Nycta to activate the flame sconces.
All three? Is not one sufficient?
I have some work to do, and I want good light to see by. Once I'm done, we can dim the light so I can sleep through the night.
Very well, Neophyte.
Having rested enough to regain some strength, Matthaios eats his roasted nuts and takes the pieces of the bronzen plating from the pack. Utilizing his tools, he makes use of the parts, along with his leathers and thatching, to create a makeshift light breastplate. With a bit more tinkering, the helm fits snugly onto his head. Though the armor is by no means impressive, it will surely provide him some improved protection. Fatigue has sapped him by the time he finishes his work. Epsilon Nycta extinguishes the flame sconces. Matthaios sets the armor in a neat pile by his pack and lies back against the bundle. He thinks of his family, his father's steadfast guidance, his mother's care, his grandfather's wisdom, his grandmother's delicious cooking, his uncle and aunt, his cousins, his friends. A tear forms at the corner of his eye. Will he see them again? In the dark of the chamber, the young warrior sleeps alone.